So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the long-term health condition group. Today we have Glenn joining, also known as the Green Hearted Man, and he's going to do some meditation for us and let us know of other sessions that he is currently leading in Doncaster. So I will hand over to Glenn.
Hi, good morning, folks. So we've got just Faye and Linda on the call this morning at the moment, and what I thought would be a really nice introduction to my work would be, if it's okay with Linda, for me to just work with her directly and give you a bit of indication of how I actually work when I'm working with clients. So if that's okay with you, Linda, I'm going to ask some questions.
Yeah.
Great, okay. So currently I'm working down at the Urban Farm in Bentley. And what I've done is I've set up a therapy space there where I've created a real nice, warm, relaxing space where people can come down, say hello, find a little bit more about my work. And also, I'm guessing at the moment, just a way of getting outdoors into nature in a very safe environment where you can park literally a very, very short walk away from our space, and you can come out and have a look at some flowers, potentially pick some veg. And one of the main things that you can pick, so long as I'm not working with a client, is my brains. And I'm quite rehearsed in long-term health conditions in the sense that I was managing chronic fatigue for quite some time myself. So I'm very, very familiar with lots of symptoms. I'm very familiar with all kinds of different tools that we can apply to be able to better manage long-term conditions. So my background is I'm a yoga teacher. I've been studying nutritional therapy and supplementation for the past, 10 years now, and I'm currently studying functional medicine. So to give you an indication as to what functional medicine is, we're looking more so at wellness as opposed to sickness management. And so some of my work involves all sorts of unusual things that people won't experience from going to see the doctor. So I'm going to incorporate lots of things while I'm working with individuals that the doctors basically just don't have time to do. So I need to get a background of the people that I'm working with, begin to understand their life story, begin to understand how they came to this long-term condition and what stresses are currently avoiding their body and mind from entering a space of healing. And when I say healing, for me, while ever we're able to breathe, there's always an opportunity to improve our situation. So my own path was having to navigate through chronic fatigue. I was housebound, unable to do any more than hang out my washing. But through my own journey, I've managed to uncover and undo some of my symptoms, which has now allowed me to be working and engaging pretty much in a full life. I still have to balance and manage my life to the best I can, which from my mind, really everybody does. So it's a very fine line from people that are pushing life and, for want of a better word, balanced, or they feel like they're balanced, and yet most of the population are managing stress. And so I think it's a very fine line really between managing stress and then pushing just a little bit too much and then leaning towards starting to get symptomology, which leads towards chronic health conditions. So my work's really best supporting people that haven't managed to end up with a long-term condition, although generally people remain blind to that. So until they start getting serious symptoms that push them back, then they really just keep pushing their life forward. And so I'm really interested in catching people before they end up with long-term conditions. But that said, generally I find that it's only when people have got a really, really long-term condition that they actually want to do something about it. So yeah, functional medicine looks at the whole human being. We look at the diet, we look at lifestyle, sleep is a huge thing. I'm also interested in triggers, certain things that trigger certain symptoms. And that can be sometimes just down to the season. So at the moment we're in a transition, and symptoms for long-term conditions will be on the rise at the moment. And we can tell that because if we have a look at the pathology of the COVID virus, then that's increasing at the moment. So we know that the stress hormones go up. We know that immunity requires more support at this time of year. And so generally people with long-term conditions will start noticing that they're struggling a little bit more on the transition or change of season. So is that the same for you, Linda? Have you noticed that recently, while there's a change in season, that there's any alteration in your sleeping patterns or perhaps your energy levels?
Not really, because I'm always the same.
Okay.
I've never altered. Sometimes if it rains, I'm more painful, but
yeah,
I never really alter.
Okay, and when you say not alter, can you, as best you can and as comfortable as you feel, just give me an indication, because I've not met you before. So if I could just get as best indication from you what you describe as uncomfortable.
Well, it's pain with fibro and exhausted all the time.
Yeah.
My stomach issues. I've got all sorts of,
Sure.
things going on.
Yeah.
So I've got arthritis.
Yeah.
I'm just never feel 100%, never.
No,
I ain't done for years.
you haven't done for years. Yeah. And so if I asked you, because this is the first time I've met you, so I would need to have a real understanding of your experience of fibro and what steps you're taking to address that, and you know, and things that you've tried in the past. So if I asked you your activity level at the moment, so I've got a better understanding, are you able to leave the house? Are you doing your own shopping? Or do you have any form of movement, exercise routine?
I can go out. My husband usually goes with me. I won't go on my own because I have panic attacks.
Yeah.
I used to do school run, but with lockdown, I've not been doing that. So
Sure.
I was going out every day, but it's only probably once a week now. But I'm pottering out house and that, and keeping myself busy as much as I can.
Sure. Sure. Good.
Got an hobby, so
you've got a hobby?
Yeah.
Did you say, or a hobby?
Yeah. I make baby blankets on a loom.
Oh, fantastic! That's great. How do you make them? Do you crochet them or make material or?
No, it's on a loom. It's with wool on a loom.
Oh, brilliant! Wow. And where's your outlet for those? Do you advertise them or do you do them for friends and family? How do people get to see them?
I've advertised them. Yeah, I've advertised them, but I get a lot of people coming back.
Yeah.
To reorder another one,
Brilliant.
So
that's amazing. Aren't you sharing them
a
on the
few
Facebook
orders.
page?
I think they have been on, yeah.
That's great. I think that's something we should do
I think
as a group, is share, different people's interests. And for me, it's about community. So one of the big things that I'm really, really interested in my work is hormones. And our hormones are triggered by a sense of connection. And we know that with all this isolation that's going on in the world at the moment, that's having a massive impact on people's mood, on people's brain chemistry. But actually, in that same sense, a sense of connection can combat that. And we can do that online, and being part of a family or part of a community, I think at the moment is more important than ever.
Yeah.
So although when we have human connection, the brain chemistry is very different. We release different hormones and different brain chemicals. But I still think that being connected online and just talking and being heard and validated, or
Yeah.
being able to sort of like share things that we're doing with other people, is really more important than ever now. So
Yeah.
I think that's amazing that you're doing that. Yeah, that's really good. And can I ask as well, so I don't have any background about you at all, so what steps during the last year or so, and do you feel that that's still where you're at in the sense of approaching change, or have you sort of in your mind just become sort of, I won't say passive, but just do you sort of feel in this state where, oh, there's nothing much going to change and this is my life now and I have to create a life around what I'm, what I'm dealing with? Or do you still sort of have something inside you that's sort of a burning desire to get yourself back well?
Well, to be honest, I've had it that long.
Yeah,
It's just a way of life, but I don't get into it. I've never
yeah,
get into it.
I see.
Oh.
Interesting. And when you say not give in, what does that mean? What steps do you find that it's like a daily routine that you have to sort of follow in order to create more balance or feel better?
No, I
Are you
just,
able? Do you feel that you're able to engage in how you feel and how your body and mind performs?
I don't know. I say I've never get into it because I think if you do, you just get lower and lower.
Yeah,
So I just try to keep positive.
sure. Interesting.
And I've got a good family. We've all got a weird sense of humour. So we laugh and, we take mickey out on one another. And so it's not as though I'm just sat here doing no. We have, I've got two lads and the wives and grandkids. We always have a good laugh. So, but as I say, at minute, you're not allowed to see them, are you?
No, I thought you were going to say we're not allowed to laugh. That's about the only thing we're not allowed to. We're not controlled by.
Yeah, yeah, they'll
No,
take that off us soon.
yeah. Well, no, it's good. I think you're right. It's really important to have family. It's really important for us to be able to have some fun. And I think the business of long-term health is very serious. And whenever we can just get off that trajectory of it being too serious and just sort of have some fun, and just lighten things up, I think that's really, really important. For me, it's become quite serious in the sense that I wanted for it to become my work, and I wanted to really begin to understand, how I could support people and whereabouts there are some potential avenues for certain people to get more relief, and be able to measure certain symptoms so that they're starting to get some development or just more areas of contentment in their life. So it's not necessarily that we get more contentment because we're able to jog around the gym or, lift so much weight. But what we do know is that the brain chemistry does alter through being able to move more, be more fluid. When we change the diet, we know that alters brain chemistry. And so if we look at contentment and joy, or even just peace in the moment as a measuring stick, then I would say that there's numerous different tools and numerous different approaches that people, or that anybody can try, that will actually bring them more peace. So you're really fortunate that you've got a family there that you can have some fun with, but not everybody has, you know, that luxury in some
No.
sense. You know, there's a lot of people that are very
Yeah.
isolated and lonely at the moment. So it's great that you're able to
Oh,
acknowledge those sort of like support mechanisms in your life. Yeah, it's great. How big's the family? You got young children?
now I've got grown-up sons, but I've got grandchildren.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Great. So they get spoilt by grandma.
Mm. And I've always more or less looked after them.
Yeah.
Because the parents have worked, so I've looked after them.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Great. I think that's the case nowadays in these generations. Grandparents have got more time than parents, haven't they?
Yeah, they are.
And they've got more experience, I guess.
Yeah. So I've been doing it for 15 years, like, but there's 3 of them.
Yeah.
Oldest 15, so that keeps me going, looking after them.
Yeah.
Eldest still here, actually, because she goes to school here.
Right.
She only goes home at weekend, but I don't know what's going to happen after this now.
Yeah.
With lockdown.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty crazy, because I think some of the life skills that kids learn from family and grandparents are really valuable. And at the moment, one of the big things that I think is really, really important for children is just this idea of connection and being heard and validated and having, you know, lots of time spent with them. So I think that's a real opportunity that you've got there to be able to sort of keep getting that connection. And that'll be really satiating for you. Makes things worthwhile a little bit more, doesn't it?
They're all good kids as well, so.
So I'm going to ask you a question just to lead towards introducing, I guess, some of my work. One of the big things that I'm really interested in with people that are struggling with symptoms similar to chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia is a thing that I call self-care. And so it's okay to be able to come along to a therapist and have a massage or go to a counselling session and be heard. But one of the real big things as part of my development was what's known as self-care. And sometimes we know that people that are challenged with long-term conditions, particularly chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, and one of the titles I heard once was Achiever's Disease. And it's really interesting that these long-term conditions are often seen as people being lazy or dropping out of society or, you know, not interested in their health, whereas actually a lot of these conditions are a result of adrenal burnout or lots of motivation and drive coming from the person, or lots of emotional dysregulation, which is certainly not about being lazy, lethargic, and not engaging in life. So we know that people that are driven and constantly trying to push and move forward and that are fighting long-term health conditions have emotionally some form of dysregulation. And so, you know, it's very difficult and challenging managing long-term conditions. And self-care sometimes becomes a challenge because they generally are empaths. And if you don't know what an empath is, it's someone that's very, very aware of other people's feelings, very, very aware of other people's emotions. And what they'll do to avoid any conflict is put themselves out of the equation and tender for the other person. So if that's happening in a relationship, then empaths can be always second best, you know. So they're managing their own life, which everybody should be doing. Everybody, for me, should be aware of their output with regards to work, life balance, diet, exercise. But they generally don't manage that themselves so well because they're so concerned about the relationship or the harmony that they bring to the other person. Does that ring true to you at all?
Um, I do care about other people, but I also look after myself. I stick up for myself, and if anybody, I'd not let nobody get away with it.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah. So I do cover this, and sometimes we pick up certain patterns in people that they generally would put themselves behind tendering and caring for others. And
Yeah, I
so,
suppose I do, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And through sort of delving into some deeper questions, maybe we might highlight some patterns there. I really don't want to probe that far with you, but the way that I work is really, really lightly. And so what I make sure from every session, and so my sessions are very intuitive. I don't have a protocol that I follow because everybody's different. And if
Yeah.
I have a roadmap that everybody follows, then I'm completely missing the game altogether and I'm not giving you personal attention. So what I'm interested in is certain language that you use. I'm constantly listening and in some ways validating what you're telling me so that you feel heard. And then what I do is come up with some form of program that on the day will have you leaving feeling a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more acceptant of your symptoms, and then also some tools that you can take home with you. So I do massage, I do Indian head massage, um, and I'm very interested in detoxification. So we know that the body, through nutrition, stores toxins or it's able to release toxins. And if we've got sensitivity or dullness in the body, that a big part of that is down to the lymphatic system, which is not draining toxins properly. And if your energy is compromised and you're unable to process toxins because you're not moving, then these toxins become stagnant and painful, which can lead to a whole host of bacteria imbalances, which then feed into poor nutrition. That's a whole different talk that I could waffle on for about an hour on. So I'm not going to go down there. But what I like to do is really begin to listen and understand where the person's at so that we can begin to start creating some really small pathways that they can follow, which are really small bite-sized chunks, very easy to apply, and will give you some sense of relief from your symptoms. So if I asked you on with regards to self-care, how you feel about just being in a space comfortable and relaxed on your own so that the nervous system is able to switch from what we call a parasympathetic um, mode, from a sympathetic mode into a parasympathetic mode, which is more of a rest and digest, because most people that are managing long-term conditions are in a high state of stress, but they just don't know it. Like you said, it's become normal. It's become normal to maybe for some people feel anxious, for some people to feel um, outside of their body, that their body feels uncomfortable and they want to disengage from life. That becomes normal, but actually we know that that's very stressful on the body. So just with regards to that, how do you feel with regards to stress in general in your body and in your
Uh,
life?
no, I don't think I used to get rate stressed, but I just come to the conclusion it wasn't helping. So
Yeah,
I'm okay now.
great.
If something upsets me, obviously I do get stressed, but day to day, I'm okay. I've not to get stressed about.
Good, good. How long have you been managing your condition?
I started when I was about 7,
Okay, wow. Okay,
and
yeah.
I'm 65.
Okay, yes. So obviously for you, you've become really, really able to understand your emotions and understand how life triggers you and you've been able to combat that. Yeah. So for me, if I was working with you, it may just be sometimes some exercise or some movement ideas or some relaxation, in the sense that some people, don't, particularly at the moment, aren't experiencing any physical touch whatsoever. So a massage or just spending some time being heard can be really, really important for them. And
Yeah.
I'm sure if people listen to this, they'll know exactly who they are. For you, really, seeing as this session was about meditation, I think one thing that's really, really valuable is for people to get in tune with their body and to make peace with their discomfort. So to make peace with some of the symptoms that fibro can present. And that's,
Yeah.
I'm sure that you've, after all this time, been able to, you will have your own strategy of dealing with that.
Yeah.
And so if I asked you, how's your sleep at the moment, or in general?
I never can get to sleep. Very rare I get to sleep, and then I can't get up in the morning. I can be absolutely exhausted, go to bed, and then I'm wide awake.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. And so today was a little bit about talking about meditation, and meditation's a massive, massive subject. It's one area that I would introduce people to, and exactly for that purpose, which is improving the quality of sleep. Now, meditation is not really so much about improving the sleep, but more so about feeling comfortable with the thoughts before the sleep, and just allowing you to drop into this sense of acceptance, even when there's broken sleep, or there's, we call it high energy of the mind, shall we say.
Yeah.
So mind activity becomes exacerbated, as soon as you start to want to control the mind. So it's like, okay, I'm tired. My body is physically tired, but probably because you're busy through the daytime, mind's active, but you're just unaware of it being active because you're doing things that follow up on the activity of the mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we know that a lot of people that are highly stressed like to keep busy. And one of the ways that they sort of combat being stressed is they go to the gym, or a lot of people do high performance sports. Diet is affected. Sometimes people are workaholics. Sometimes people self-medicate with alcohol, drugs, whatever it is. And so these are all ways of distracting the mind from the stress.
Yeah.
So for long-term health conditions, what I like to teach people to do is almost have some awareness of relaxation through meditation, because we know that 1 or 2 hours of meditative practice is the equivalent to probably 5 or 6 hours of sleep. Now, the best quality sleep, and we did do something, we made a podcast about this a while ago, but the best quality sleep is probably between 11 in the evening and 2.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to be able to switch off, the mind at a certain time. Like, we can't say, okay, mind, I want you to switch off. So through meditation, what I teach people to do is just begin to feel comfortable with their body, and then to be able to have more awareness around their thoughts. And really what we're looking at doing is binding the activity of the mind, the thoughts of the mind, down into the body, into feelings of the body. So in the Western mind, we're very driven towards achievement, towards success, moving forward, pushing our life, and very rarely do we get in tune with the physicality of our body. So a lot of the time our body needs to rest, but the mind is still on achieving, or the mind is still on doing. So the skill or practice of meditation is dropping the energy of the mind, the movement of the mind, the thoughts of doing, of moving away from the current situation and moving into the physical feelings of the body. So we drop the activity of the mind into the stillness of the body. And you'll know that your body has this ability to feel very heavy and dense. And so what we do is with the thoughts is we slow the thoughts down through the breath, and we begin to follow the pattern of the activity of the mind into the sensations of the body. So your body at the moment generally feels uncomfortable and different tingling sensations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you feeling comfortable now at the moment? Where are you at home?
Yeah, I'm upstairs, sat on bed.
Okay, and you've got your own space. Do you have a
Yeah.
space in your home that you're able to create your own space?
Yeah.
Your own healing space, yeah.
Yeah.
So in meditation, we're creating a space which is a healing space. And what we're going to do is just go peacefully into the sensations of the body. And as I mentioned, it's very easy to have lots of activity in the mind, but not so easy to separate that activity and understand that actually that activity can be slowed down just with conscious awareness.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've done any breathing exercises or anybody showed you any breathing exercises.
I've done them, yeah, I've done some before, yeah.
That's great. Okay, so you would have done that. There's 3 parts of the body which dominate our breath, and they relate to the lungs. There's the upper section of the lungs, the middle, and the lower. And the way that we separate that into the body is the lower abdomen is the lower half of the lungs.
Yeah.
Whenever you breathe in and allow the lower half of the lungs to engage, then you'll find that the diaphragm drops, which is a parachute type shape. It drops down, and the abdomen and the belly sort of opens and expands. So the first thing we do with breath awareness is just place the palm of the hands into a nice, this is called a mudra in yoga, a hand gesture, and we just place the palms over the belly button or down on the lower abdomen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you breathe in, you'll notice the rib cage expands. And as the rib cage expands, you follow the journey of the expansion down into the abdomen. And you'll notice that the palm of the hand slightly lift. And that's on an in breath. And generally, you'll notice that there's a heightened awareness as you begin to meditate. It's almost as if there's an agitation. And this agitation is very natural because our emotions come up, they surface and release during periods of quiet. And so we just mentioned then that the day is very busy, we distract ourselves, we've got lots of things that we do to distract and keep busy to avoid those emotions from coming up. And the moment that we create our own space of peace and quiet, which I call the healing space, then those emotions present themselves. And this is where people begin to notice anxiety or discomfort in their body, heart palpitations, and the body can get either very warm or very cold. And it's because the activity of the mind has been consuming and holding back these emotions. So as soon as we go into a space of quiet, we notice that there's some agitation, it feels uncomfortable. Because for the first time, sometimes during the day, we're actually asking the body, how are you? How can I tender for you today? And often when I'm working with clients, I ask that question, how is it? You know, what's going on? And then we have this stream of dialogue that comes through Well, it's this dialogue that we're constantly replaying to ourselves or avoiding throughout the day. So by entering this space of quiet, this healing space, and just going to the breath, noticing the sensations in the body, you can notice some agitation. But then slowly, as you begin to make peace with the breath and begin to join the thoughts of the body to the feelings and sensations, then what you do is begin to harmonize the activity of the mind with the pace of the body. And if the pace of the body is very slow, but the mind is busy, then what we do is slow down the interaction. And we do that through the breath. So as the in-breath comes in, the ribs expand, abdomen expands. And we create, as best we can, a gentle pause. As long as there's no discomfort in the digestion, we allow the diaphragm to stay lower and the abdomen expanded. And then as we let go, we release a long, slow, controlled exhalation. And in between the gap of the exhalation and the next inhalation, we're actually detoxifying the body and also detoxifying the mind and beginning to slow down the pace of thoughts that come into our mind. So this is a gentle practice and certainly not one that we try to expand too much on the holding of the breath. It's more so a gentle pause that you feel comfortable with. So what I would say is, if you're feeling comfortable now in your place, if you just attempt as best you can to bring the breath into your body through the nose with the mouth slightly closed, and better still totally closed. But if that feels anxious for you and raises the heart rate, then you can continue to practice with the mouth open. We know that if you breathe through the nose, we increase nitric oxide, which increases and improves the detoxification process. So the oxygen, fresh oxygen is being invited in through the nose or the mouth, whichever feels comfortable, and follow the journey down through the throat. Notice the upper chest lifts and then the ribs expand. Diaphragm drops. The parachute falls down into the abdomen. Abdomen expands. Then as best you can, a gentle pause. And in that pause, the oxygen is being delivered around the body, collecting carbon dioxide and toxins, which are released on the exhalation. So the exhalation is long, controlled, and extended to the point that it doesn't cause you to need to inhale any more violently than just a natural inhale. So the exhalation is as long as is needed for you to be able to take a natural in-breath. You don't want to overemphasize the breath. How does that feel for you?
We're asleep.
Oh dear.
No.
Don't start snoring, dear.
No.
That's great. Lovely. So this is a really, really simple detoxification practice, which
Yeah.
will actually allow you to improve your breath capacity. And I always say that while ever we're able to breathe, while ever there's life, we're able to improve that breath. You know, and there's no age limit to improving and getting the most benefit from your breath as an exercise. And I
Yeah.
think if people can't exercise and they're unable to exercise, then this gaseous exchange that we're doing through meditation is the best way of detoxing their body and beginning to make peace with the activity of their mind. So this in itself is a meditation practice, and it just allows the mind to be more focused and more relaxed and more comfortable with what's going on in the body, as opposed to rejecting what's going on in the body. And I developed that, you know, much further when I'm working individually with people. But it's a really, really good entry point, because once people have begun to learn how to expand their lung capacity, then that's a really good foundation for accessing deeper states of meditation. So, do you have any questions or anything, Linda?
No, no.
No. Okay. Is that something that you think you may benefit from in the evening
Yeah,
before you go to sleep?
yeah, yeah.
It's a really nice way of being able to make peace with that activity of your mind. And what you'll find is, even if you're sleeping,
Yawning.
even if your sleep doesn't sort of become any longer, what you'll find is if there is any agitation to being awake, then that'll become lessened the more time that you spend in this healing space, this nurturing space, because you'll be able to make peace with the activity of the mind then. Instead of saying, oh my God, I'm not sleeping again, what you're able to do is just go into your healing space, do some breath work, and you'll feel slightly re-energized, and it'll just calm down that thought activity.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so thanks for that. Difficult working with just a photograph on a blank screen, because I like to work and calibrate where people are at, and I can only do that from their facial expression, from the color of their skin and their body language. So it's very, very challenging for me to be able to get the full connection with you, but hopefully I've been able to share just a little bit with you, and you can put that into practice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay. Were you listening in on that, Faye, or have you fallen asleep?
Oh my gosh, that was so relaxing. I would do the same. My eyes were going. That was so relaxing. That was fantastic, Glenn. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for attending today.
Oh,
it's
you're
been
welcome.
Brilliant.
Well, that was totally unprepared for, because I didn't really know what I was going to be doing today. So, and this is generally how I work, because it's all about the people. It's not about me bringing some insights that I think everybody should know about. And that's really important.
Yeah.
And I'd like to find out, you know, what people are really struggling with and how I can adapt some more learning so that I can share it with you guys. Yeah.
That was fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for coming, Linda. And I hope you had a nice time.
Yeah.
And thank you, Glenn, because that was brilliant.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay, well, have a good day, folks, and I'll hopefully catch up with you soon.
Okay, bye.
See you later.
Bye. Bye.